Hey folks, it's the Big Woodsman here. I've had quite a few people contact me in regards to what do I do when I get a new firearm. So they want to know about unpackaging it, how do I set it up, is there a break-in period, how can I set up the sights so it's actually shooting accurately and we can go ahead and use this firearm. So it so happens that we've just recently got shipped a brand new firearm here. It's still in the box, so we're going to go through and basically do an unwrapping on what it takes to set this firearm up. So stay tuned and we're going to see what we get into. So here we are, we have our box that's just been shipped to us, and one most important thing to note is when you're receiving a firearm via shipment, be it through postal service, courier, delivery, any way, shape and form, every single box has basically a tamper-proof seal, and it's on the box right here. If for some reason this seal is broken, then do not accept the shipment, send it back to the original supplier. Obviously there's been some tampering in the process of delivery, so do not take delivery of it. So in our case, everything's been sealed, everything's in, so let's see what we have. So we have some parts here that have come with the gun. We have basically a scope rail and all of the necessary screws to attach it to the rifle, which is great. So we're going to set that aside. So the firearm that we've gotten today is the Ruger 1022. What we have is the full synthetic stock with stainless steel barrel, machine billeted aluminum housing at the top. Very fine rifle. It is probably one of the most convertible and most dependable firearms on the market today. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, with this rifle, make sure it's always pointed in a safe location and make sure it's unloaded. From the factory, they send it with a nice little piece in the receiver here, which basically lets you know that it's not loaded, there's nothing in the receiver. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. So here's your little safety piece that tells you that the gun is unloaded, but we are going to go ahead and check. Nice thing about the synthetic stock, the new models that they've updated nowadays, is they have this nice magazine release. It's a long stem release. Magazine is there. The gun is fully checked and unloaded and ready to go. So, Ruger sends a beautiful firearm right from the factory. It's basically shootable, ready to go. But what I like to tell people is there's a few things to know. When you're having a brand new firearm, the best thing to do is really monitor the amount of shots you put through the barrel. The last thing you want to do is heat the barrel up before you put relatively 100 rounds through this firearm. Same thing as when you have a break-in period on a brand new engine. You want to run it for a few hundred hours before you actually start putting it through its paces. Same thing with a brand new firearm. So in this case, we have the brand new firearm here. We're going to take it out to the range. We're going to put some rounds through it. But for the first 10 rounds, we're going to run it on single shots, not semi-automatic. We're not going to allow multiple shots to heat up the barrel until we hit about 100 rounds. Once we hit the first 10 shots, then we're going to clean the gun. We're going to clean the whole barrel. We're going to put another 10 shots through it. Then we're going to clean the whole barrel, put another 10 shots through it. And we're going to do that basically 10 times in order to get everything where it's seated and happy and in place. So, a couple other features that come with the kit. We have the full manual, user guide, warranty registration, full breakout on all of the parts list if you ever need to buy other parts. You can get absolutely every part under the sun for this gun that you can possibly think of. They sell millions of aftermarket parts for this type of model. Ruger also sends it with a trigger lock. It's kind of an interesting trigger lock system that they have on it. When the receiver is open, you would take this metal plate, slide it into the action, and then on the back side you would clip the giant padlock across the holes in the back. You'd slide it through and clip it on here. I'm not a huge fan of this. It does work very well, but you have a metal bracket, and metal on metal in your receiver is never a good idea. So I prefer to use a cable lock, trigger lock, anything of the other mechanisms, just so this metal doesn't wear on your receiver. And when you spend this kind of money on a firearm, the last thing you want is to have to damage the receiver by locking it up with metal on metal contact. So something to think about, but it does work well. It's up to you if you want to use it. So we're going to go over some of the specifications of the Ruger 1022. This particular model comes in a full synthetic stock. It's a very durable stock. It's great for inclement weather, easy cleanup. You don't have to really worry anything about that stock. The nice part about the synthetic stock is it does come with sling mounts. If you ever want to put a sling on it, they have sling mounts already integrated into the stock. A lot of the wooden stock models do not have those. It's an aftermarket. You just have to add them on, which is easy. Looking at the underside of the firearm here, the safety is right in front of the trigger lock. Red means fire, so it's very simple safety. It's made for right-handed, but it's very easy if you do shoot left, and you can operate it with both sides. That's not a problem. It's a nice flush mount, 10-shot rotary magazine. The magazine is very dependable. It's a spring-loaded rotary magazine, 10-shot, has steel lips across the top of it. It's going to last you a long time. You can buy these readily from numerous different companies. They've got full 10, 15, 25, 100 barrel magazines. Anything you possibly think of, they have. It's a very dependable magazine, but it's nice that it sits in flush. It just it adds a nice smooth finish to the firearm. Nice thing about the newer models, Ruger has upgraded their models. That the magazine release it used to be a push button. Now it has this nice forward slide mechanism. It's much easier to manipulate if you've got gloves or anything on your hands. It's much easier to manipulate. When worrying about the receiver, it's pretty self-explanatory. Receiver operates very easily. There's a piece right in front of the trigger guard that when you press, it locks the receiver in the backwards motion. If you put a little bit of pressure on, push up on that piece, it releases the action. Very simple lock and release to this. It's just a matter of pushing back and then pushing up to release. The sights on this model, as we mentioned, it's got a brass bead sight on the front. It's pretty easy to see in daylight hours. In low light, it could be a little bit brighter. It's something you want to look at about aftermarket if you're going to put a scope or something on this, and we're going to go through that and show you all how to do that. The rear sight is a flip-up sight. It can stay on the gun all the times. It has adjustments for elevation, which is fantastic for long-range shooting. If you don't want to use it and you're using something with a scope, then you can flip it down, or you can keep it flipped down if you're going through heavy brush, and then when you need to shoot, you can easily flip it up. Very nice. Dimensions on this model. We have an 18.5-inch stainless steel barrel. You can get them in shorter models, you can get them in slightly longer models, but the 18.5 is about the standard model that they sell. And full length, you're only looking at 37 inches, just over 3 feet. So that's a pretty short, pretty compact gun. It's very nice when you're traveling through the bush. It's very compact, very easy. It's easy to store. It's easy to put away. It's a very nice size, and even though if you're a big guy, if you're a tall guy like myself, you don't have to worry about is it going to fit. It still fits really well. It's still very much a comfortable gun. It has very nice deep checkering on the stock. On the synthetic models, when you get the wooden models, they don't have that nice checkering, but it's very nice, very easy. It only weighs in at about 3.5 pounds. It's a very light gun. You can carry it all day. So there you are, folks, a quick video on some do's and don'ts, things you need to know about when you're unboxing a brand new firearm. I hope you found it informative. Stay tuned next time. We're going to do a quick video on upgrading the sights on this existing stock gun in order to put a scope on top and what it takes to basically sight that in. So stay tuned for that. This is the Big Woodsman saying thanks for watching. There's life in the outdoors. I'll see you out there in it.